Well, the sun's finally out. Looks like it's a nice day for a header install. So let's go ahead and do this. Something's smoking. I don't know what it is. Doesn't smell right. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to spray everything down before I start anything, because if I can't get these nuts off, this install is not going to happen. So I'm following Subispeed's DIY video, so if you want to see a more in-depth video with studio lights and on a lift and all that stuff, I don't have all that, so go ahead and see their video for this install. Alright, just uninstall these two hoses for now. That's the very first thing I did. Looks like I got my bypass valve up there. What else? So this is the Grimspeed boost controller. Looks like the one coming from up front goes to this side of the turbo, and then the one coming off this side right here goes all the way to the back somewhere. Alright, next I'm going to remove these two 12mm bolts that connect the charge pipe to the turbo. Gasket is still intact nicely. So, on to the next. What's next? Oh, all these oil and coolant lines. Great. Put that there. Alright, not sure if you can see that, but this is just a 17mm. You just want to take that and take off this oil line. So this might be a little tight. On mine it was really tight, and you just want to be careful not to bend these metal hoses that are in there. So just be careful, nice and steady motion, and you should be able to get it. Alright, next up are these two hoses right here. I think the bigger one is the coolant hose and the smaller one is the oil line. So you're going to want to pinch off the coolant hose so you don't have coolant spilling everywhere. So I got one of these little clamps laying around. I'm going to plug it up. Or I'll pinch it off. See if I get a bunch of oil. Yeah, just a little bit. Alright, so I just went and pinched it off. Now for the coolant. Fun part. See how much spillage I get. Wow, that one's tight. You know, on Subispeed's video, oh shit. On Subispeed's video, they do it all nice and aftermarket hoses and stuff, but most of us are going to have these stock hoses, so bear with me. So I'm here at the front of the turbo. I'm going to take off these two oil lines next. Alright, got all the hoses all plugged up and should be ready to move on to the J-pipe and the header. Loosen all the bolts to the J-pipe. So far it's coming off really easily, no issues here so far. My main concern is I just disconnected the O2 sensors. One is black, one is green, so you really can't mix those up. Now, time to take off those bolts in the back. Alright, got those back bolts off. Let's see if the J-pipe comes off now. Shit. You're gonna have 3 on each side. And then you're going to notice that these are on pretty good. So you might need a nice good breaker bar. Get this out the way. Or a nice persuasion tool, like this little pipe that I took off my jack. These shouldn't be so tight. The torque specs on these are 31 foot-pounds. Okay, everything should be ready and loose. It says to take off some heat shields, so I'm going to take off this off the top. Okay, I think we have to flip it over and take off the heat shields from the bottom. So I want to remove all these heat shields right here. So these have to be removed so you can access the bolts that connect the actual exhaust manifold to the turbocharger itself. There you go. So now, just gotta flip it over, and hopefully these bolts come off easily. Because if not, I am screwed. God damn, they're on there good. Alright, next tension. Now that one was surprisingly loose. Oh fuck. Looks like I'm having an issue with one stud. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. Alright, so looks like I had an issue. Looks like one of the studs was actually stripped from the factory. Not much I can do about that. Just great. Looking at the threads, but totally disappointed. It is what it is though. I'll figure that out in just a minute. So I just covered the turbocharger inlets just to make sure nothing falls in there. But this is the thread that is stripped, so it won't focus. So I have to go to Lowe's, get a what do you call it? One of those sets where you can rethread this, and I can put one of these Grimspeed studs on there. So if you have any cross threads, get the Grimspeed J-pipe hardware kit. It will work for your header just fine, as you can see right here. All right, luckily Casey came here to save the day.
Oh yeah.
And we're gonna go to Lowe's.
Good old Lowe's, the best.
If Casey doesn't pull.
Super Sports! Griffin!
Lowe's is like the hidden car guy, you know, store, you know. Lowe's saves the day.
Dude, yeah. Especially with the light bar and now.
Yeah. So I went ahead and chased the threads. So you're gonna want a 10 millimeter with a thread pitch of 1.25. Unfortunately, Lowe's didn't have that. So what I used was 9 millimeter with a 1.25 thread pitch, and I went ahead and made some new threads on there. So, and it works just fine. For me to get the thread pitch, I did have to call Grimspeed in reference to their bolts that are right here, and they gave me the actual specs of it. So big thanks to Grimspeed, especially with their kit, and let me know exactly what thread pitch they were. Alright, so new stud is now in. So this is a new Subaru OEM gasket. You're going to want to make sure that you do get a new gasket, so it's highly recommended. So you probably saw me put tape over the turbocharger. Now you're going to want to do that. You don't want to drop anything in that turbocharger. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time getting it out. Don't ask me how I know. Thick gasket. And new gaskets for the header. And I almost forgot. You're going to want to install your turbo heat shield. Make sure you transfer this bracket from your OEM manifold onto your new one. And then simply put that over the turbo and thread that in. All right, let's try to raise this up. So one thing I have to mention, if you ever plan on doing engine mounts and you're taking off your header, your engine mount is right down there. So if you're thinking about solid engine mounts, this is probably be the best time to do it, since you're gonna have that header out of the way and you're gonna have all this room to take out that engine mount from right there. Now, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this install wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. Now, if I can do this, you guys can do it. I was intimidated by taking off the turbo and all that good stuff. So when you do tighten these, I'm gonna get my torque wrench off camera. You're gonna wanna tighten these up to 31 foot-pounds. All right, just another tip on one of these oil lines that connect to this turbo right up here. You probably can't see that. So on this oil line that connects to the turbo, it has one of these funky clamps right here. So looks like it's not reusable. So what I had laying around was one of these small hose clamps. You're going to want to replace that because that's an important line and you don't want oil spilling everywhere just in case that leaks. So it's a brand new Grimsby gasket that's on there. This is the nice thick one that I recommend to anyone if they're removing or installing a J-pipe. Moment of truth. Let's see if I jacked anything up. This is always the sketchy part. Something's smoking. I don't know what it is. Doesn't smell right. Probably from all the coolant that's spilled. And no check engine light so far. There is a very, very slight difference in sound. Like a little more throatiness, but not that. But it's not that really noticeable. Yeah, a little more throatiness to it. I guess you can hear the turbo whistle just a little bit more. You can hear the pops definitely a lot more. That's for sure. Alright, took the car for a little drive and I didn't really get on it that much. Only went up to about 4,000 RPM. But so far the exhaust sounds nice. I mean, pretty much sounds just like before, not really much of a difference. Maybe just a little bit more tone, a little more turbo whistle, and a little more crackles. But on my exhaust, which I have a Q300 with a catless J-pipe, yes, there is a difference, but it isn't that significant where you're going to see a big difference in sound. So, once again, thanks for watching. I appreciate your support, and go ahead and click that subscribe button. Talk to you guys later.
So now we need to obviously make sure that the valves are completely closed so that we don't get any walnut shell in the cylinder. So a little hack, if you're doing this by yourself or to make it easier, is we set up our phone right here on video mode with the light on, and you can get a clear view of the valves. And so the way we're going to make sure they're closed is we're going to rotate the engine manually until they open. And then as soon as they're closed, we're going to do an additional 1/4 to 1/2 turn just to make sure that it's completely closed. So we'll go ahead and do that now and show you.
All right, sounds good.
Love can hold you down.